Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk Podcast. Always joined by the great Phil Perry. The senator is right alongside. And before we get to the football, I want to crawl inside the mind, Phil, of Bill Belichick. Because as you know, on Monday, he had answers of 393, 414, and a jaw-dropping 518 words in his Zoom call. Here was Bill looking back after coaching his 400th game. Strap in. It's a long one.
You know, it's going all the way back. It's a great opportunity to be here in 96. And then, Robert gave up a lot and it was, hard to hire me in 2000. He gave up a lot in the trade with the Jets and all that, for me to come here. And so that, that in itself was a great level of commitment and blessing for me to have this opportunity. And then, it's worked out pretty well since then, all the way around. And so hopefully we can continue to, improve and keep it going. I didn't realize that. Thanks for for giving me that number. I didn't realize it had been 400, but, doesn't seem like that. But it's been just awesome to see so many players and coaches come through here, come in as rookies, grow, develop into great players, have great careers. We've had a couple of the Hall of Fame inductions the last couple of years with Seymour and Wilfork and guys like that, and of course there were the other ones like Troy and Kevin Falk and those players that were already here when I got here, Ty, guys like that. And, but, Mayo, just, all those guys that came in and were here. And then many of them now, Slater, McCourty, people like that, to just watch them come in as rookies and just, start from scratch and then develop and grow into, some of the greatest players of, in Patriots history, some of the greatest players of all time. Certainly, Brady and Slater will go down in that category at their positions, and for the game. So, it's been an incredible, number of years. And same thing with the coaches, all the coaches that have come in here and have gone from quality control assistants to, all the way up the ladder to coordinators and head coaches and other places in the league. It's, I think back on that every once in a while and just kind of, say, wow, I've been so fortunate to be able to work with so many great people, great coaches, great players, great people in the organization, personnel department, Scott, Nick, and all, I could go on here for days, but thanks for bringing it up. It's good to kind of reflect on it. And you're right. It's probably time for me to start thinking about Cleveland.
All right, Phil, we all understand that Bill's reputation as being a full-time curmudgeon is overstated. He's probably 73% cooperative, 15% curmudgeon, and then 12% loquacious and engaging. Why? How does he select when he's going to be what he's going to be? And why is he this way this year?
I wonder if, number one, obviously they're coming off a great win, right? It's a good team win. It's the kind of win Bill Belichick has to love because they pitch a shutout defensively. They get a quarterback that nobody's expecting anything from to play pretty well. And they get I would say good contributions. Not acceptable, but good contributions across the board from offense, defense, special teams. So number one, he's just in a good mood, I would guess. And then it does feel like, Tom, he has gone out of his way to, at times, try to give us, the people, the fans, whoever might be listening that is within the organization, a little bit more. And I wonder if it's just because it's a different kind of year. We're talking about whether this is a rebuilding year or not for a long time. He's obviously made some interesting choices with his coaching staff that hasn't gotten a lot of support in the public sphere. And so I do wonder if this isn't the '07 Patriots, right? If they were
Mhm.
winning every game, I'm not sure we'd be getting a whole lot. But it's just a different time in the organization in terms of its track, and I do feel as though he's made a real effort to give us a little bit more, though people could very quickly point back to Friday's press conference when
Oh,
he
no
told us
doubt.
all to take notes on how he's handling the offensive coaching staff this year. So we get a little bit of both from Bill this year.
Yeah, it's a full-on mixed bag, but there is more, a little bit more engagement and loquaciousness, and I think some of that too is probably guided by his tone at the podium might be guided by the tone he's adopting with his team itself. Because when you have a team that's as accomplished as, the Patriots were for 2 decades, and again, we're speaking in generalities. There's a million occasions where you can pull out and say, "But how about this?" Yep, he was great that day. Made fun of my golf spikes when I left my shoes at home by mistake. Any number of things. But the kinder, gentler Bill, who is amenable to explaining things in great detail, not just the special team stuff or the history of the game, but going into great detail about the schedule and things like that, or offering up that Ty Montgomery is not going to practice this week. I wonder if it's just, hey, I need to be a little more open with my team right now so that they understand some of the unconventional things we're doing. Whereas before I could rule with an iron fist and I wasn't in the business of explaining things because I had a whole hell of a lot of lieutenants, both in uniform and on my coaching staff, who could adeptly explain things after I, walked out of like a dictator of any team meeting room. Now I got to be approachable. I got to let these guys know I'm approachable. And there's a lot for me to explain to them about how we're doing things so I can get them on board and get the buy-in that you and I spoke about so often.
I think that's fair too, because we know that he's always trying to send a message when he's at that podium, right? I mean, it's whether it's for his team, which I think is often the case, or someone else that he's trying to get some kind of reaction from. I think he uses the podium as a place to send those messages, and so I like that take by you.
Let's segue now to the game and what happened not just this week, but also in the Green Bay game with Bailey Zappe on the field. This is going to be a fun little exercise. I'm going to ask you, Phil, to rank 1 to 10, not against each other, but just in level of importance, the building blocks that the Patriots put in place over the last 2 weeks. Okay? Number 1, self-belief / swagger. How important will that be going forward for this team after what they've done the last 2 weeks?
Well, I think it is important, but I don't think they're fully where they need to be when it comes to their confidence level right now. Because I think while what they did the last 2 weeks has been impressive, there are certainly guys with this team in that locker room, on the coaching staff, in the front office, that look at it and say, it's not like they're beating the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs of the world right now, right? The Lions came in as the top ranked scoring team in football, and I spoke to one coach after the game. Pitched a shutout, deservedly getting credit on that front, and the coach said, "Hey, top scoring offense in football, right?" I said, "Yeah, coming into today, they were at least." He said, "They probably weren't the top scoring offense in football, were they?" Meaning, they're still the Lions, right? They're not what their numbers suggested what they were. So impressive, yes. Confidence building, yes. I think they have more work to do in that regard. So I'll put it for 1 to 10 in terms of like what they've done these last 2 weeks. I'll put that at a 6.
Okay. And it's funny. I guess it probably would have been more damaging for them if they ended up in the dogfight that I predicted and lost 24-19 as the Nostradamus. Take a lap. Okay. Offensive line cohesion, 1 to 10. I know you're going to love this.
I'm putting this at a 10 if what we've seen the last couple of weeks is real, right? Again,
but at least the brains are working.
The brains are working, right? They've got pretty much everything picked up. And even when they had lapses, and there were obvious lapses in Green Bay, one of which got your backup quarterback hurt, those to me looked more like a one-player issue. That was an Isaiah Wynn issue. That wasn't necessarily a communication across the board kind of issue. So I think if this is real, and again, not great defenses these last couple of weeks, this to me is probably the biggest thing that they'll be able to hang their hat on moving forward, because if they don't get that cohesion, Tom, both in the run game and in the pass protection facet of their offense, they're really not going to have any kind of a chance this year. So once you get your quarterback back, if he's playing behind a better offensive line, the overall product will be much better. So this is a 10.
All right, Phil, even though it wasn't a massive number of sacks unleashed on young Jared Goff the other day, the pass rush was constant, persistent, and as I said before, old Jared looked like Washington Wizards level Michael Jordan with the number of followaways. So pass rush, 1 to 10. Importance as a future building block.
I'm going to go 5 here.
Okay.
And the reason that may sound low is because I still would love to see someone other than Matt Judon be a really consistent pass rush winner. And you could look at Dietrich Wise and say that's the guy, because he's had a great year. There's no question about it. Loads up on sacks against the Ravens. I thought actually he had a underrated part in how the Judon strip sack for a score played out, Tom. He rushed on the low side. It allowed Judon to rush on the high side. Those were complementary types of rushes. Jared Goff had nowhere to escape to step up and away from Judon because Wise beat his block too. And so maybe he's the guy. I just am not sure that they're going to have enough week in, week out. They blitzed a lot the other day, and that worked against Goff. But can you do that every week? Can you do that against a Josh Allen? Can you do that against even a Tua the next time you see him, because he wants to get the ball out of his hands pretty quickly? I'm not sure. So I'm not totally selling out on the importance of what we saw Sunday from a pass rush perspective. So I'll put that right in the middle at 5.
All right. No, not even a smoochie for Josh Uche?
He's shown a little bit more lately.
He's getting there.
Slowly
but
but surely, he's creeping along, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Jack Jones, 1 to 10. Is he a mere building block? Excuse me. Is he a mere flash in the pan over the last 2 weeks and back through the summer and minicamp actually? Or is he a legit building block corner who's going to be on the NFL's all rookie team? Ooh. Can we have a little in between, Tom? Whatever.
Do they do an all rookie team?
Yeah, I think Pro Football Weekly does an all rookie team.
I like that.
Somebody will.
Yes, he's not a flash in the pan. You said it. You can't be a flash in the pan if you flash in the spring and in the summer and in the first 2 games where you get a lot of work. That's not a flash anymore. This guy is, I think, legitimately good. And I trust, I told Devin McCourty this the other day. We spoke about it on the Next Pats podcast. I said, hey, in my opinion, pretty good evaluator of young cornerback talent here, because I remember not his rookie year, J.C. Jackson's rookie year, Devin McCourty telling me this guy tracks the football better than any defensive back we've had since I've been here. And he had been with the Patriots for the better part of a decade by that point. Turns out J.C. Jackson ends up with 24 picks over however many years. Massive, massive contract. With Jack Jones, he said since the summer, great feet. The way he transitions is special. He has a chance to be really, really good. That's how McCourty feels. And so I'm going to follow his lead and say, I think this guy has a chance to be really, really good. I think as long as he can stay healthy, Tom, he's slight. I know the team is hoping that he'll be able to eventually put on a little bit more weight to be able to withstand the rigors of the duties that he has out there. But he's got ball skills. I don't think those are
not going away.
Teachable in some cases. It's kind of God-given, isn't it?
I think in a lot of ways it is, because if you see it, that's great. But if you can break on it, that's, the coin of the realm, and he can break on it because of that speed and transition, which is going to be what they'll be concerned about him losing it all in a heartbeat if he does get a little heavier, I'm sure. We don't want to make him get big so that he can't transition as quickly. But I'm going to give that an 8 on your behalf. Run game. Oh, yeah. Run game. What do we got for that as a building block?
I associate this with the offensive line. So I guess I'll put this at a 9.
Okay.
I just think this is the kind of team they probably have to be. You're going to have to be efficient running the ball. It doesn't mean you become super conservative, and I think we're going to talk about Patricia here. But, Tom, their first 2 drives the other day, they ran on all 6 of their first downs. And if they gained 4 yards or more on those runs, they ran again on second down.
Mhm.
They ran on 3rd and 4. They ran on 3rd and 1. It was really, really conservative to start. Now they opened it up pretty soon thereafter. Even when the score was relatively close, their 3rd drive of the game, they took a play action shot on 1st down. They tried to take another play action shot on the very next play. And so I think they looked at it and said, okay, we can't just run pass our way through this entire game. And so I kind of liked the plan for them on that front. I think you probably have to be a little bit more aggressive against better teams. And so when Mac Jones comes back, they should feel comfortable doing that. But you don't have to be overly risky with the attempts down the field that you want to make. I think you can lean on this run game. I think they've proven that they deserve to be trusted. And if you can trust them and still mix in some of those shot plays, take some calculated risks, you'll be a better offense for it. So I put this at a 9.
Good deal. Matt Patricia then has what he's shown really since the Pittsburgh game, especially at the tail end of the Pittsburgh game. So it's not really a flash in the pan now. He's been consistently solid as a play caller. Again, relative to expectations. He's not Houdini over there, but he certainly has exceeded what folks thought they were going to get and what the early returns among NFL experts and analysts indicated. So I would say he's still probably on the incline.
We'll see. I want him to help Mac Jones more when Mac Jones comes back. You know, they've had very simple plans here with the rookie quarterback, which they should. And so he gets credit for that. He should get credit for that. He should get credit for what they're doing in the run game because he is still the offensive line coach. A lot of that falls on him. But there is a lot that was happening with this offense before Mac Jones's injury where it didn't look good. There were too many risks. I don't think it's Mac Jones taking over and putting his own spin on everything and saying, no, I'm the 50-50 ball guy. It's me. Michael McCorkle Jones, air it out. I don't think that's how things have gone. And so I look at those 3 games, really. The last 2, good job, good effort, smart plans with a rookie at the most important position on the field. But once the offense becomes what it was supposed to be with its actual quarterback, I still am waiting to see more. So I'm going to put Patricia's performance at a 6.
It's funny because it will be fascinating to see if I don't want to be insulting at the running game and at Zappe and at the Patriots offense in general to say it was training wheels offense since Zappe's come back in. It's probably more rudimentary, more 1980s and 70s style offense, but it's still, pretty. It's not easy.
We thought they were going to be at the bottom of the league in terms of scoring and yards and everything, right? I mean, just based on what we saw in training
They
camp.
do suck at scoring. They do that. They have 9 touchdowns offensively in 5 games.
But I think
they do generate yards and they do generate plays.
Yeah, I think just in terms of the efficiency, even when Mac was playing, even with the 50-50 balls and the, some of the disjointed looks that they provided, even in the run game at times, it's been better than it was in training camp. So I think we all came in with open minds into the summer, but it was such a rough summer that it was hard to project.
They closed quick.
Yeah, it was hard to project much in the way of positivity coming out of August.
Yeah. So if it'll be interesting to see if, just take those training wheels, throw them back in the dumpster, and we're back to chucking and ducking after Mac comes back. Finally, I want to ask about Hunter Henry. Was there a building block installed on Sunday by getting him the football a little bit more? Or was that a byproduct of going against the Lions?
I think it was a byproduct of having a quarterback who likes to work the area of the field in which Hunter Henry operates. I think it's also a byproduct of Hunter Henry playing 98% of the snaps.
Mm-hmm.
He got every tight end target. For the Patriots, they've been a team that's, been targeting its tight ends 5-ish times a game, but you splitting those between 2 guys, and it's not been leading to a whole lot of production. He just got all those. So I'm not sure there's been a ton of movement as far as the tight end usage goes, other than Smith is out, so Henry gets all the work. So unfortunately for him, I'm not going to rank this one real high in terms of its trend lines and how it portends for what's to come for this Patriots offense. So I'll put this at a 3.
Okay, Phil needs to see more clearly on that one. Also, speaking of needing to see more, Michael Hawley had a very interesting insight, I thought, on Post Game Live Sunday. Here, have a listen to this.
And I'm going to tell you, there's something instructive for Mac Jones from watching Bailey Zappe. Now, Zappe does not ask things that Mac Jones does. It's like a rebellious teenager. When you tell them to do something, and they just want to say, why am I doing that? Why are we doing this? I don't want to. Go to the room, slam the door. Bailey Zappe, you tell him to do something, he'll do it. He's not asking about why are we running this play. He's not questioning Matt Patricia and Joe Judge. He goes out, he does it. And so they're asking Bailey to accept what they're doing, and Mac Jones doesn't always accept what they tell him to do. And maybe Mac Jones needs to be a little more compromised when he returns to health. He needs to work with them a little more closely.
That was a really interesting take from Michael in terms of following the track of Mac Jones. What are we doing here, guys? Line of questioning throughout this season, to contrasting that with Bailey Zappe. Whatever you need me to do, coach. Do you think that could be a benefit?
I don't. I don't. I think everybody that's in that building probably understands what's happened these last 2 weeks, and they've really had to, duct tape some things together with a third string quarterback out there. And, how will it look against a different type of defense when you're actually trying to run the offense that you put in all summer, that you've been working on and grinding away at? And I still think, Mac Jones looks at himself, rightfully so, as being somebody who understands offense really well. And I don't think this is going to necessarily change his mindset where he says, well, we scored 29 points against the Lions with Bailey Zappe, so I guess I better keep my mouth shut and not tell them what I think and just accept everything that comes my way, because I think he probably understands, and I believe this too, that would be doing a disservice to the offense as well. If you're just gonna come in and be an automaton and not use that brain that you got drafted in the first round for, that's not helping anybody. So there should be some constructive pushback. Obviously, if it's leading to poor results just because of the nature of the discourse, Tom, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
there's got to be some dialogue there.
I mean, that's the funny thing is there has to be occasions when Patricia sees a ball get picked by Minkah Fitzpatrick and says, I mean, I did say if you had the matchup of Devontae Parker on a linebacker to go and tack it, but I kind of wanted a better throw than that. So it's like, and Mac, I'm sure Mac is of a mind, yeah, well, I would have liked to have a better throw if there was a little bit better protection from the offensive line. Who's coaching them again? I'm sure it's not that rancorous, but there's a lot of, I would imagine, that has to go on until the gears are meshed nicely and neatly together.
The one thing that I'm interested to see is how that relationship works, especially in game, because that's really the one time we get to see it. It's out there in front of everybody, although it's usually not on the broadcast. So you got, old Speckles McGee here, me trying to, scope out what's happening between series. What's it like without Brian Hoyer? If Brian Hoyer continues to not be able to be on the sidelines,
that'd be great. That becomes the Zappe job. All right, Mac, here's what I saw on that.
I really do feel as though there's been some, good cop, bad cop type of interactions, types of moments in game where, Brian Hoyer has been through it. He knows what's required, and he knows when to be, a shoulder for a guy to lean on, and when to give a guy a pat on the ass. I'm not sure, how the rest of the staff views those types of things and how they view that in-game bedside manner. I think Josh McDaniels had a great way with Mac Jones. I think they got along phenomenally. I think Brian Hoyer's been key to making the whole thing function the way it has when Mac Jones has been in. And now if he's gone, how does that go? So that's something I'm curious about.
It's funny. We haven't talked about Mac's ankle or his timeline for coming back or anything like that yet today. And I'm sure we will as the week goes along. It's irrelevant right now. But it's been rendered irrelevant because they won on Sunday. And they won on the strength of their running game. And they could win next Sunday as well when they go to Cleveland on the strength of their running game. If you look at what's going on with the Cleveland Browns, next opponent, allowing 138.2 yards on the ground, 5.32 yards per carry. They have a 2-3 record, just like the Patriots, but the teams they played, Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, and Chargers, who beat them on Sunday, I wouldn't say that's the iron of the league. Here's Myles Garrett talking about getting absolutely run on.
Were you surprised that they ran as much as they did?
No. I mean, once they cracked that 75, 80 yarder, knew they were definitely going to lean on it. They felt like they had an advantage on us, being able to attack some of the soft spots in our defense. And I mean, that's what they did. And they were able to get over rush for over 200 yards, and that's completely on us. I feel like that's on us as the D-line, making sure the edges are set and not getting knocked off the ball.
They do score offensively. The Cleveland Browns do. They have gone up and down the field pretty good, even with Jacoby Brissett under center, Phil.
This is the Spider-Man meme a couple of weeks here for the Patriots. Not necessarily the Patriots looking at their opponent, although I think that's partly true as well, but the Lions and Browns seem like very similar types of teams right now. Limited quarterbacks, great rushing offenses, really porous rushing defenses. And so if you're the Patriots and you're looking at your quarterback situation, I think you should feel comfortable that you can win this game if you run Bailey Zappe back out there, because it's almost the same kind of team you're going to be facing here this coming week. When you're talking about allowing over 5 yards per carry, but also on the other side of the ball for them, having this, great running back group and really strong offensive line. These are all things we said about the Lions through 4 weeks. So it feels like they might be able to sort of just recycle the game plan in some ways. I'm sure I'm not giving a whole lot of credit to a lot of, what Cleveland is doing in terms of its scheme. We know offensively, that's Shanahan tree stuff. It's Gary Kubiak. It's Minnesota, when Kevin Stefanski was there and he's brought that to Cleveland. But feels like it could be a similar kind of week, no?
Yeah, it's a similar situation to what the Lions came into the game with. They were humiliated in the previous week, and they wanted to shore things up and have a better performance, and they couldn't do it. So maybe the Patriots will take the same break with Cleveland. Phil, great stuff today. I want to throw it now to our guy, Adrian Phillips. Patriots safety was a subject of this week's highly entertaining Irrelevant Questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time once again for Irrelevant Questions. And we have the great Adrian Phillips, who, before we get into the actual questions, is going to receive some praise. You're playing out of your mind right now.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Where else are you supposed to go with that? Honestly, do you feel like you're playing as well as you have at any point in your career?
If I'm being completely honest, there's still some things that I want to do to get better, to up my game even more. But I do think I'm being productive right now, but you can always be better, and that's what I'm trying to do.
My guy packs a punch. We saw some people trying to get him in blitz pickup last week. You were throwing some people around. Yeah. All right, let's get to the questions. You're going to like these. First question, you know how kids love jumping up to hit things? Mm-hmm. How old were you when you stopped jumping up to hit things?
I haven't stopped. I still do it. Like if I walk through a door, I'll still jump up to get it sometimes just to make sure I still got that springiness.
Do you ever do the little layup too as you're going through and just give it the back of the hand?
Yeah, so we were doing walkthroughs today, and I had a football, and I was sitting there acting like I was doing a Euro step with the layup, with the finish with the left, with the right, just seeing if I still had it,
We never grow up.
Never.
Who was the toughest kid in your elementary school?
Who was the toughest kid in my elementary school? Kid named Bama. His name was Jeremy Cummins. It was actually middle school. I don't remember elementary, but middle school, he was by far the toughest. He came from Bama. He was a stepbrother to one of our friends, Kentrell, there. And he was by far like the strongest, one of the fastest, one of the meanest if you got on his mean side, but he was a good dude.
See, that's the thing. If you get, and once you realize that Bama has come from someplace else, he's got no friends, he's going to get involved, you have to make a decision. Am I going to be with Bama or am I going to be against Bama?
Yeah, you didn't want to be against him for sure.
I appreciate that. Now, this is a good one. You're going to like this. Would you rather climb Everest or explore the Mariana Trench? The Mariana Trench is so deep that you could fit Mount Everest in it and still have 2 kilometers of space above the top. Which one would you rather have?
The trench. I think I'll go with the trench.
Dark down there.
Yeah, it is dark, but if I was able to see everything and if pressure wasn't an issue, I would definitely want to see that rather than being at the top of Mount Everest, because you don't know what's down there. I feel like they say there's still species that we don't know exist down there because we either can't get down there or can't see down there. So
That was an inspired question. I was proud of that one. Favorite all-time cartoon character?
favorite all-time, gosh, you throwing some good ones out there.
We can
Arthur.
Oh, nice.
Arthur was my favorite. I loved Arthur growing up.
See, this is good for the next question because I wish I had included him, and I think I'm not going to include him. Who would you like to take a long road trip with? SpongeBob, Patrick, Jimmy Neutron, Hey Arnold, or Dexter from Dexter's Lab?
So Jimmy Neutron was actually going to be my second. It was between Arthur and Jimmy Neutron. We didn't have cable growing up, so I had to watch Arthur first, but then when we got cable, it was Jimmy Neutron. So I'm definitely going with Jimmy Neutron because this movie, I used to watch that all the time.
You know, Dexter would be pretty noisy. I know SpongeBob would be noisy and Patrick would be annoying. So I'm with you on that. Best binge show?
Ooh, best binge show, Blacklist. For me,
We got time. There's no rules.
There's a lot. If you ask people around the locker room, they'll tell you that I watch a lot of shows on like Netflix and stuff like that. So I love Blacklist. I like binge watching Game of Thrones. And there's one more on the top of my head, but I can't think of it, but those are the top two.
Have you started House of the Dragon?
Nah, because I hate being caught up on stuff. So I'm waiting until like the season's over so I could just watch the whole thing. And I've been staying away from the spoilers and everything. So I'm good.
How about Better Call Saul?
Better
Little slow.
You know, it started off a little slow. I'm only like second season right now because it starts off a little slow and there's so much other stuff that I'm watching, but I heard it's good. It's won a lot of awards and I'm gonna finish it eventually.
Yeah, where do you get to Lalo? One of the all-time greats. This is the last question. No, second to last. When was the last time you were starstruck?
The last time I was starstruck was actually not too long ago. I went to see Serena Williams play her last match, well, quote unquote, last match, and she was somebody that I've been wanting to see ever since I got in the league, really, like 9 years ago. That's kind of when I started really understanding tennis and what it was and how much of a pioneer she was for the game and how much she changed the game and evolutionized it. And I really just wanted to see her. So it ended up working out. We came back. We had like a week or so off before the first game of the season, and she was playing in New York. Took a quick flight there, saw her, got in, got out, and I was like starstruck just being up there. Like I wasn't even side by side, but just watching her play, I was like, this is greatness. Like this is 20 plus years of greatness. It was great to see.
That's a fantastic story. I like that. Last question. Your wife is a pediatrician.
Yes.
When you have any kind of an ailment at all, does she just go, Adrian, you're fine?
All the time. We have a son who just turned 1. His name is Dylan. He turned 1 on the 24th. And, you know, I'm kind of more of the helicopter more than she is. Like, I'm like, hey, we need to make sure he's all right doing this, this, and this. Don't do that, don't do this, don't do that. And she's just like, he's fine. Like, you wouldn't expect that. You wouldn't expect that from a doctor. I feel like with her being a doctor, you know, she would understand. Well, she does understand everything that's going on, but she would be super particular about stuff. But she's like, he's fine. I see kids all the time. So when I have stuff going on or when he has stuff going on, she's like, he'll be okay.
See? And that's why you have to get some more Dylans. Dylan, a brother, a couple sisters. Yeah. Next thing you know, all of them will just be running around playing with glass and roller skating and everything. They're fine. Doesn't matter.
For sure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.